team's ability and honing its early season skills to win close games.
Yeah. Yeah, a little closer than I'd like, but these early season games, we're still trying to figure out our team, and with a lot of new players and different styles, UAB and Davidson completely different. Different games call for different things, but and we've played in pieces of both games. I thought we played really well, and then there were pieces of both games where we didn't play very well. Fortunately, we've been able to finish, and I think some of that is we have older, experienced players that have been through some of these battles, and we showed pretty good poise down the stretch in both games of making enough plays to win, whether it's a couple stops or whether it's a big play like the UAB. To be honest, UAB hit point shots in the last minute to both times almost looked like they could win the game, and then we had to come back and almost answer with offense, and we were able to do that, and that's credit to our players. We just got off to a really poor start and played very poorly the first 8 minutes. With an older group, I tried to let them play through some of it and didn't want to call a quick timeout because I thought we could. I mean, we didn't. And, thankfully there was immediate timeout eventually, and then I ended up having to call another one. And you look up and we're down 19-2. And, but I knew we would battle back, and I knew that we'd have a chance, and we would make some of the shots we were missing. But we had to get our defense corrected. So, it's been an interesting week. I'm really proud of our team because you got to find a way to win these tough games. Pretty good opponents. And again, we've seen a lot of different things, had to deal with a lot of different things, so that's been good for us.
I mean, obviously last year you lost games to Loyola and South
Yep.
Carolina. Is there something different about this group?
I don't know if there's anything different. Sometimes you have to be fortunate too now, like in some of this. I do think probably early on right now, the biggest difference is PJ, right? PJ was not healthy most of November and December. I mean, you go back and watch the films, and he doesn't even look like the same guy. And so when you have an all-conference player who's 60%, it's a big difference when he's 100. And, right now he's 100%, and he's healthy, and he's moving well. His confidence is probably at an all-time high because he's put in the work, and he knows he's prepared, and he knows he's a good, talented player, but he's also not lugging a leg around or questioning himself at all because maybe he's not been out there practicing as much and gotten the kind of reps that he has. And so, the biggest difference is just a healthy PJ Hall.
I was actually talking to PJ during the ACC tip-off, and he was talking about the tournament you guys had in Florida, and that he was on the beach at like midnight just looking out
Yeah.
because he was so down.
Yeah.
He says that he actually had a conversation with you, and that's what helped snap him out of it. What do you remember?
Yeah, it was really the Iowa game last year was really hard. He was in a tough spot and just not in a good place mentally, and I just tried to tell him that he's going to be okay, right? Like, and his mom was, hurting. As soon as we got off the bus, she came and gave me a hug and was crying, and we just lost a tough game, and it was hard for her to watch PJ not being able to really play very well. And I didn't even play him that much in the second half because he just couldn't help us. He just wasn't in a place where he could help us. And, those are hard times. People don't see those. And then you have real conversations with families and players behind the scenes to reassure them is really all I was doing is, we have to expect this. The kid was extremely brave to try to come back as early as he did, and he wasn't risking any further damage. We wouldn't have let him do that, but he also wasn't going to perform like he probably thought he could consistently. That's very difficult, and Jack Clark's going through that right now. Like, he's just, you don't sit out 6 months and then come back in a week and you're going to play well consistently. You might have an outing that's good, but it's hard. And, and so I just told him I was really proud of him, that he's going to be fine, and we're going to stick with him, and that I love him and care about him, and let's just get past this. And this is part of our Clemson Grit motto of overcoming adversity and dealing with challenges that life presents you. And so he certainly is at an all-time high right now. I'm just so happy for him, because I see all the work these kids put in, and it's not, the weight room, the training room, the basketball court, the extra hours, and you just want them to have success when they're talented like that, and they're working as hard as they are, and certainly PJ's doing that now.
Wins are obviously important, and you want all of these new faces and new pieces that you've come in. You love to be able to just flip the switch and everything is fantastic and you're blowing teams out by 40 points.
Yeah.
But that's just not realistic and a part of it. So as you guys go through this non-conference portion of your schedule, which we know is super important, what are kind of those milestones and those markers that you're looking for in communicating to the guys that are important to reach right now?
Well, the wins and losses are important. I mean, that's why finding ways to win these two games is critical at the end. You don't want to learn all your lessons after a loss. You can learn after wins too. And we were in the film room at 7:15 this morning watching things that we need to do better against Davidson. Now, having said that, you also are talking to the team about it's a journey. It is a long process of putting your team together. One of the things that we met as a staff yesterday, and we're in there a couple hours just pouring over things that we've got to do to get better, and then it's like, okay, well, how come we're 3-0? Because we don't feel like we're playing consistently really well right now. We have pockets that is really good. And I think the answer that we all came up with is we're 3-0 because we have really good team chemistry. And we talk a lot about great teams are made of great teammates. And it's on our wall in our locker room, and we talk about it a lot. I'm really proud of the kind of kids we recruit and the kind of culture we have. And I think that we are 3-0 because of the culture, because of our kids. A guy like Josh Beadle, who didn't play against UAB, isn't over there pouting and frustrated and, shaking his head. He just cheering and goes in and sparks our team in the Davidson game. Chauncey Wiggins and Jack Clark, who play the first 6 minutes and don't play very well, and it's kind of a difficult matchup game for them in some ways. When I take them out and don't put them back in the game, you watch the game in the end of the second half, and they're cheering on the bench as much as anybody for the guards that are out there, because we're playing three guards. And so that team spirit, that morale, that great teammates, great chemistry, great unity, I think is why we're 3-0 and what I'm really proud of with our players. That's not easy in this society, to be cheering for others all the time, even when it's not going well for you. And that humility is something that will serve our guys very well moving forward, and hopefully our team the rest of the way also.
Going back to PJ, you talked about him being a leader and choosing the right words. I mean, have you seen instances of him having that maturity now in terms of being able to say
the first step is just him taking ownership in being the guy that, there are a lot of times we get in huddles when I'm there, and sometimes I purposefully don't say anything. We get everybody in there together, and then they're all looking at me, and they know that coach isn't saying anything. Somebody else has to say something. And so who's going to say something? And it might be an easy time to say something, rah-rah, or it might be a little more challenging when it's not going very well. And PJ just is kind of the guy right now that has taken that mantle and is the first one. Obviously, that was Hunter Tyson more often than not last year. Chase will do it a little bit for us this year. And I think those are teachable moments, right? That's what I'm trying to do is, put them in situations where they've got to – I want to hear what they say. Their teammates need to hear what they feel. And then, obviously, there are other times when it's just them as players in the locker room or, at a pregame meal or before a game or in a huddle or even in a huddle of a timeout, that you're hoping that your convincing them that their communication and their stepping forward is what we need. We don't need to always be coach directed. And so now you start hearing more voices in different ways, and certainly PJ right now is the biggest voice in our team.
There's a lot made about the end of last season and the rankings and how all those things come together in college basketball and the imperfect system that it is. And there's a lot to say about it in the moment when it's happening, when you're affected by it. But now to be on the other side, to take you back to these first quarter games really matter and they're a big deal. Does it change the conversation or the approach or the transparency at all with the players? And when you're talking about we don't have that time to grow and adjust and go through some stumbling blocks the same?
It does. I mean, I think it resonates with the team. When it happened to you last year, it certainly resonates with guys who were part of that experience. Obviously, we did reference Loyola last year for this tournament, you know, and we had some similarities between Loyola and Davidson, stylistically in certain things that they did, and certainly their toughness and their execution and of fundamentals and team basketball and competitive spirit. We thought those teams were very good, and we didn't feel like we matched that against Loyola last year. We just didn't. It was one of those games where we just kind of didn't have it. We couldn't quite get it going. We were still figuring our team out. The result of that game is what ultimately made us play a bigger lineup. Ironically, the Davidson game, we started with a bigger lineup and went to a smaller lineup to win the game. So there's still coaching things that we're making, strategy decisions as you coach each team. But I do think the emphasis of this is going to be this kind of environment, this kind of game. Last year's Loyola game certainly resonated with our players in terms of the Davidson game.
You mentioned it's a long journey and it's only November, but having an experienced team that has found a way to win in crunch time in Asheville, how contagious can that be over the course of a long season?
Well, I hope it is, because I think that's college basketball a lot. Last year's team, we won a bunch of close games, you know, and so we finished third in the ACC, had a really good ACC record. There have been some years we've lost several close games, and it's kind of flipped on you. You go from 13-7 to 7-13, you know, and there's 7 or 8 close games, and you win 2 of them, and you only win 7, and you win 6 of them, and you win, you know, 12 or 13 or whatnot. And so I'm hopeful that, you know, that's part of who we are, that we can handle those moments, that guys like Chase Hunter can step up and make 2 big free throws again like he did at Florida State last year, and he made them both against UAB, or that we can get a big stop if we need to, because I think that's the only way you're going to have a highly successful season, is to win a bunch of the close ones.
If anybody on Zoom has anything, feel free to chime in.
Hey, Brad, this is Terry Burrows.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor Burrows from TigerNet.com. You know, last week you signed a great recruiting class. It's weird. I was actually in the same freshman class as Greg Buckner, and it's kind of hard to believe that his son is going to be playing for you now. But is that just about the most talented class that you've signed? You've done a great job developing players and getting guys and transfers out of the full world. But tell us a little bit about this class and how exciting that is for the future of your program.
Yeah, it's a good class. We're really excited. You know, I don't worry about ranking them, and you know, till they're here playing for us. That part of it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is we got 3 really good kids that are talented guys. Ace Buckner, Greg's son, I think is kind of a combo guard that just is going to get better and better. He's still kind of growing into his body. He's played multiple positions. He's played some point guard. He's played some shooting guard. You know, we just like his development. We've been watching him for a long time and feel like he just keeps getting a little bit better. And, you know, obviously with his pedigree, we want him here. And I think he'll do the same at Clemson. Dallas Thomas was a kid that Sean Dixon, my assistant, did a really good job of kind of searching and finding, along with Dell Jones. He kind of picked those kids out when they were younger and has kind of tracked them for a long time, and did a good job with them. And we got Dallas and his family up to campus in the summer and had a great visit, and he committed quickly, which was fantastic. He's 6'9", he's long. You know, he's in the Chauncey Wiggins mold. He's highly skilled. He can shoot. He can dribble. He can pass. He just needs to gain weight. But we've got a pretty good strength coach and a nice weight room to help work with that. So we think he's going to be a really good player. And then Dell Jones is a guy who was, just a good player who's really fast. I think he changes the game with his speed, and in the open court is really hard to contain. And big personality, and a guy who's played a lot of high-level basketball, both in AAU and on the different high school circuits. So he's played against good competition, and we feel like he's going to bring tremendous athleticism and speed to us at the guard position. So a good group, really excited about it. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Could take a couple more for Coach.
Brad, this is Larry. I know you mentioned Jack and him needing to get healthier and all that. I'm just curious with his awareness, knowledge of the system, and grasp of on-court stuff. Can you maybe give some specifics? Is it offensively, defensively, both?
It's probably more offensively than defensively right now. In fact, he was in there for a couple minutes the other day, and he had a mix-up on a play, and then I don't know if he didn't hear one, but we ran two plays, and he was in the wrong spot both times. And when we were losing and it was getting away from us, I just, I couldn't risk putting him back out there and not knowing that he knew exactly what we were doing. It's been really hard on Jack. I feel bad for him because the poor kid has had 2 surgeries, and he just wants to get out there. And I think he's a good player, but he needs practice time. He just needs time with us, and it's still sore. Like, he's not 100% healthy where he can, just practice full practice every single day for 5 days in a row and get at it. You kind of got to pick and choose how much he can be out there. So we're just trying to work with him through it. In fact, I met with him this morning. I'm hopeful that this week will be really good, that we can get him up to speed. He's also tried to play a little bit of 2 positions because we think he can help us in a couple different ways. So there's multiple things that he's got to catch up on more than just maybe one position or one guy. Now, I think he'll make an adjustment this week and really step forward, and I'm hopeful that he's going to be ready to play productive minutes for us moving forward. But we just got to be patient with him and give him some time to adjust to the system and learn what we need him to do.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, good team. Boise, very good, extremely well coached. Leon does an unbelievable job there. Been a top 75, 50 program last several years. Dagenhart is a big kid inside. It's preseason all first team guy who's kind of a 4-man that can post you, shoot threes, play a little bit off the dribble. Barkley back down. He's just got a wide variety of moves and does a lot of things. 3-man that can really shoot the ball. Big athlete. They're big. They're strong. They're very disciplined. Stylistically, they play similar to how we play, and run a lot of different things. Good, unique actions. Primarily man-to-man, a little bit of press occasionally, but just very position, very sound, very fundamental, and big. Big guards, strong, older players, disciplined team, just what you would expect. So it should be a great game. I'm hopeful that we'll have a tremendous turnout. Obviously, big weekend with a lot of things going on, a lot of teams playing. But Sunday at 1, I think, is our game time, right? Hope that we can get a good turnout for that because Boise's usually an NCAA tournament team.
The last 2 years.
Yeah. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.